A little boy sat in silence praying for help. He wrote two shaky, heartbreaking words on a crumbled paper. The teacher read it. Then what happened next didn't just save his life. It uncovered a dark secret that would change everything. The first grade classroom was full of life, colorful posters and walls full of rhymes. The air smelled like pastel crayons. The sound of children working filled the room. Soft whispers, giggles, and hum of rhymes. Mrs. Alina walked between the small desks. She was a kind teacher with gentle eyes and a warm smile. The kids loved her because she always listened and never yelled. Right now, all the students were taking spelling tests. Everyone was giving their best to earn a star. But strangely, one child wasn't writing. Leo, a small 5-year-old boy with silky blonde hair, laid bent on his desk. His fingers were scratching on the cover of his pencil. Usually, he was full of energy, always laughing and making fussy jokes. But today he was not his usual self. He hunched his back to make himself smaller. His eyes were blankly staring at nothing. When Mrs. Alina came to collect the papers, she moved through each desk praising the kids. Good job. Keep trying. When she got to Leo's desk, she paused. His papers were blank. Instead of spelling words, he had written something else in shaky, uneven letters. It read, "Help me." Mrs. Alina's stomach twisted. Then she thought, this must be a joke. Kids often scribbled anything on the papers. After all, they are still kids. But Leo wasn't like the other kids who played such games. Therefore, she knelt down, keeping her voice low. "Leo, honey, are you okay?" He didn't open his eyes. His lips were pressed together. He gave a faint nod, but his whole body was stiff like a cornered animal. Before she could ask anything, the bell rang. All the other kids swerved past her. Leo moved too, faster. He pushed his chair back and blended in with others, disappearing into the hallway. She just stood there frozen. Mrs. Alina stood there, staring at the test paper she had just received from Leo. An uneasy feeling settled in her heart. Something was wrong. She knew it. She carefully folded the paper and slid it into her drawer. This was something she couldn't just forget. She had to find out. Why? Why was he asking for help? The school was filled with noise, rushing of kids, laughter, kids bouncing around. But she was still stuck on those words. Help me. What could it mean? She felt the urge to know the answers. Closing the classroom door behind her, Mrs. Alina hurried down the hall to the teacher's lounge. The room was quiet, just the soft hum of the coffee machine and the faint smell of leftover lunch heating in the microwave. She sank into a chair and pulled out Leo's school file, her fingers trembling slightly. Page after page, attendance sheets, report cards, teacher notes, nothing looked unusual. No warnings, no red flags, just records of a little boy who used to smile. Used to, because something about Leo had changed. Mrs. Alina closed her eyes, trying to piece it together. She remembered 2 weeks ago. The kids were lining up for gym when a janitor accidentally dropped a metal bucket in the hallway. The loud crash made most of the children jump. Some even laughed. But not Leo. He had flinched so hard his whole body tensed, his hands shooting up like he was bracing for a blow. She gently touched his shoulder. "It's okay, Leo. Just a noise, sweetheart." He nodded too quickly. His eyes stayed wide and full of fear. And then last week, something else. It was a warm day, yet Leo came to school bundled in a hoodie, sleeves pulled over his hands. When he reached for a book, the cuff slid back for just a second. That's when she saw it, a bruise, visible on his tiny arms. She'd kept her voice soft. "Leo, what happened, honey?" He pulled the sleeve down fast. "I fell down the stairs." He shook it off. Too quick. Kids fall all the time. She knew that. But it was different. Back in the lounge, her heart grew heavy with worry. Across the room, Mr. Carter, the 4th grade teacher, joined her for coffee. "Tough day?" he asked, glancing over. She hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Have you ever had a student write something concerning? On their assignments?" He gave a little shrug. "Kids write all kinds of weird stuff. Last week, Jake drew a mustache on Newton's portrait." She didn't even smile. This was something different. He wrote, "Help me." That stopped him. His brow furrowed. "Did you not ask him the reason?" She nodded. "I tried. He wouldn't say anything. The bell rang and he ran off." Silence was deafening. Finally, Mr. Carter let out a breath. "Probably everything's okay. You know they are exaggerating." "But what if it's something?" she murmured. The words hung there, cold. She thought again of Leo's stiffening shoulders, the lifeless eyes that bruised beneath the hoodie. She got up fast. Reaching for the phone on the wall, she dialed with steady fingers. Miss Harper, the school counselor, answered on the first ring. Mrs. Alina took a deep breath. Something's wrong. We need to talk to Leo, she said softly. The counselor's office was soft and quiet, toys and dolls scattered around. The air smelled gently of lavender. Leo sat on a small blue couch, his feet swinging, a worn teddy bear clutched tightly in his hands. His eyes stayed down. Mrs. Alina sat beside him. Miss Harper, the school counselor, sat across, her voice calm and gentle. Leo, Mrs. Alina began softly, do you remember the recent spelling test? Leo's fingers picked at the bear's fur. He didn't answer. Miss Harper slid a box of crayons and a coloring book across the table. It's okay. You don't have to talk. We can just color if you want. Still nothing. Leo's shoulders were hunched like he was trying to disappear. Mrs. Alina leaned in just a little. Leo, were you trying to tell me something? A heavy silence. Then, barely a whisper. I'm not supposed to talk. Her chest tightened. Miss Harper's voice stayed soft. Who told you that, sweetheart? Leo shook his head. His lips pressed tight. Mrs. Alina's voice stayed gentle. It's okay to tell us. You're safe here. Leo swallowed. His eyes still down. His voice broke when he whispered, Emily yells a lot. Mrs. Alina exchanged a glance with Miss Harper. Emily? Who, honey? Dad's new wife, Leo whispered. She gets mad when I speak. She locks me in the closet. The words slid in their heart like a sharp dagger. Miss Harper leaned in. What kind of closet, honey? Leo's voice cracked. The one in the hallway. It's dark. She says bad kids should remain in the dark. His eyes glistened with tears. He wiped it away fast, like he would be accused of crying as well. Mrs. Alina felt a lump in her throat. She reached out to grab Leo's trembling hands. I don't want to go home, Leo whispered. Her voice broke a little as she squeezed his hand. You're safe, Leo. We're going to help you. Miss Harper stood, motioning Mrs. Alina aside. Her face was grave, her voice quiet. We need to report this to Child Services, ASAP. Mrs. Alina nodded, her eyes still on Leo, still on that small, frightened boy hugging a plushie like it was the only thing shielding him. The phone call felt like it took forever. The voice on the other end, Child Protective Services, was calm but urgent. We're sending someone now, the woman said, but it'll take about an hour to get there. Alina's heart sank. She looked at the clock. 2:40 p.m. His father is supposed to pick him up at 3, she said, her voice tight with worry. The social worker's tone grew serious. Keep him at school. Do not let him leave with the father. Stall him if he arrives. Principal Harris rubbed his forehead. And what if the father demands to take him? Don't tell him anything. Just delay. We'll be there as fast as we can. The call ended. Every second felt like it was stretching. Principal Harris looked up. Mrs. Alina, stay with Leo. We'll handle the father if he arrives. She nodded and hurried back down the hall, her footsteps quick, her breath shallow. Please don't let them be here yet. She burst into the nurse's office. Leo sat on the edge of the bed, his lunchbox untouched. She smiled softly, even though her chest felt tight. Hey, sweetheart, you'll be okay. Just a little longer, okay? Leo glanced at the clock. His voice barely a whisper. Daddy will be here any minute. Mrs. Alina sat beside him, gently squeezed his shoulder. I know, but you're safe with me. I promise. Just then the nurse's phone crackled. Miss Harper's voice tense. Mrs. Alina. His father's truck just pulled in. Leo's eyes grew wide. His whole body shrank. His hands trembled. Mrs. Alina grabbed the phone. How much longer for them to reach? 10 minutes, maybe 15, came the reply. Her chest tightened even more. Leo's father could be searching for him any moment. Think fast. Tell him Leo stayed for extra help. Say he needs to wait for a while. A pause. Then, got it. Mrs. Alina turned back to Leo. His little face was pale. It's going to be okay, she whispered, her voice steady. I'm right here with you. In the distance, a door banged open. Heavy footsteps echoed on the tile. They were out of time. Then the front door slammed open. Leo's father stood there, tall and tense, his face tight with impatience. Beside him was Emily, sharp heels clicking furiously on the floor, her mouth already twisted in anger. Where's Leo? She snapped, her eyes darting around. We're here to pick him up. But Mrs. Alina stepped forward, her heart pounding, but her face calm. She positioned herself between them and the hallway. Leo stayed after for some extra help, she said gently. We just need you to sign him out first. Emily's eyes narrowed. Her voice was sharp as glass. Help? He's 5. What kind of help could he need? She moved like she might push past. We're taking him now. But Mrs. Alina didn't budge. It's just policy, she said, her voice steady. We're waiting for some paperwork to be brought down. Shouldn't take long. Leo's father crossed his arms, his voice low, suspicious. We've never had to do this before. Tension crackled in the air. Then, the front doors swung open again. Finally, a woman in a blue blazer stepped inside, her ID badge flashing. A police officer followed right behind her. Mrs. Alina's breath caught. Finally, a sense of relief crashed over her shoulder. Child Protective Services. Emily spun around. What is this? Her voice shot up an octave. The social worker's tone was calm but firm. Mr. and Miss Thompson, I need to speak with you about Leo. Just then, down the hallway, Miss Harper appeared holding Leo's tiny hand. But the second Leo saw his father and Emily, he let out a broken little sound, a whimper, and pressed his face hard into Mrs. Alina's side, clinging to her sweater. Emily's voice cut through the air, sharp and angry. You, get over here, now! Then the police officer stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to calm down. Chaos buzzed just beneath the surface, but Mrs. Alina kept her arms around the trembling boy. She wasn't letting go. Not now. Not ever. The hours blurred. Voices behind shut doors. The conversations tensed each passing minute. The police officer standing guard, arms crossed. Mrs. Alina stayed with Leo in the nurse's office, her heart still pounding. She sat beside him on the cot, holding him close as his small body trembled. To distract him, she read from a picture book she found on the shelf. Her voice stayed soft, steady. Every now and then she caught him watching her face, as if he was still deciding whether to trust the safety she promised. At last, the door opened. The social worker, Sarah, knelt down in front of Leo. Her eyes were warm, her smile gentle. Hey there, Leo. I'm Sarah. Her voice was soft, calm. I have some good news, buddy. You're going to stay with a very nice lady tonight. She has a big dog named Buddy who loves kids. Leo blinked. His voice was barely a whisper. A dog? Sarah nodded with a smile. A really friendly one. And tomorrow, some kind people are going to talk to you about what's been happening at home. But for tonight, you get to play with Buddy. For the first time all day, something small, something fragile, flickered in Leo's eyes. Hope. Then Mrs. Alina helped him gather his little backpack. Her hands trembled as she zipped it. She knelt down to his level. Leo, you are brave, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Leo's lower lip trembled. Then he threw his arms around her neck. She held him tightly, feeling his tiny heart pounding against hers. When he pulled back, Sarah took his hand. Together they walked toward the door. Just before stepping outside, Leo turned. He gave the smallest wave. Mrs. Alina waved back, her eyes shining with tears. She didn't look away until the car carrying him disappeared down the street. Her breath came out shaky. She leaned against the cold school doors, wiping her eyes. Principal Harris appeared beside her, his voice quiet. You did good today. She gave a small nod. Then the following days went in a blur. Leo confessed every single thing that happened. Tears blurred his eyes. His voice choked, but he didn't stop. Then Mr. and Mrs. Thompsons were sentenced for 15 years for child abuse. None of Leo's relatives were ready to take him in. But then stepped forward Mrs. Alina. She signed the papers, and now Leo found a mother, a savior, and a mentor in one person. If you enjoyed this story, take a moment to like and hit that subscribe button. And we'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments where you are listening from. Thank you for listening. Stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.